Sergeant Lucas Hayes must make the painful decision to either follow protocol or save a Vietnam veteran's fallen Bronze Star from mockery at Arlington's Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. His audacious deed sparks a national outrage. Before we continue the story, please subscribe to the channel with the bell notification on. Also, let us know in the comments section from where you are watching this story. We have another special story for you tomorrow, so if you appreciate stories like this, stay tuned. Over Arlington National Cemetery, dawn broke cold. Rows of white headstones, each signifying an undiscovered narrative, were surrounded by a thin mist. The tomb of the unidentified soldier stood in the middle, its marble face softly shining in the dark November sky. The 29-year-old tomb guard, Sergeant Lucas Hayes of the 3rd U.S. Infantry Regiment, walked with flawless accuracy. 21 steps, halt, turn. 21 steps again. With each click as steady as a heartbeat, his polished boots pounded on the stone plaza. His silver bayonet gleamed, his M14 rifle perched on his shoulder. His white gloves were immaculate, and his blue dress outfit was perfect. Families with coffee cups, school children with backpacks, and veterans wearing old caps all saw Lucas as a living monument and a tribute to those who never came back. Lucas had a private burden beneath his orderly exterior. His unit had been torn apart by an improvised explosive device 4 years ago in the dusty alleys of Iraq. Lucas was shoved out of the bomb path by his squad leader, Staff Sergeant Marcus Cole, who took the entire force himself. The recollection was a searing scar, but Lucas could still hear Cole's voice, calm in the midst of mayhem, saying, "Keep them alive, Hayes, that's the job." To honor heroes like Cole, and to represent the unnamed, whose tales were buried, Lucas joined the tomb guard. He felt as though his past was marching with him, weighing down every step. The crisp November air was accompanied by the rustle of leaves as they skittered over the plaza, mingling with the whispers of the gathering. Trained to see both everything and nothing, Lucas's eyes scanned the area. A young girl with bouncing pigtails raised a miniature American flag. An old couple, their features carved with sorrow, leaned on one another. A man of around 70 stood near the velvet rope barrier, leaning on a cane. He was wearing a denim jacket with a patch from the 1st Infantry Division sewn on the sleeve. Lucas immediately recognized him as a Vietnam War veteran. The man had a wrinkled face and eyes that seemed to be looking into a distant jungle. In 1968, a former Army sergeant named Daniel Sullivan, also called Danny, trekked across the filthy hills of Vietnam. With his Purple Heart and Bronze Star medal stashed away in a drawer too heavy to lift, Danny returned to a nation that disdained his service. Private Tommy Guan, his best friend, did not survive Khe Sanh, but he did. Tommy was posthumously awarded the Bronze Star for saving 2 injured men from sniper fire before he was shot and killed. Danny assured Tommy's mother that one day he would honor the unknowns by bringing the medal to the tomb. He arrived today, 57 years later, motivated by an unidentified need, the urge to know that Tommy's sacrifice was still significant. The Bronze Star, its bronze surface tarnished yet weighty with meaning, was in Danny's arthritic fingers. The commotion of the crowd subsided to a murmur as he stood at the barrier. The metal of his cane slipped as he stabilized himself as it wobbled on the slippery stone. With a clinking sound that pierced Danny's chest, it struck the plaza. The metal glinted against the gray stone and skittered out of grasp beyond the rope. Danny's breath was shallow as he froze. Shell casings, Khe Sanh's cries, and Tommy's voice calling his name were the sounds instead of stone. The audience took notice. An adolescent giggled while wearing a sweatshirt and hanging headphones. "Old man dropped his shiny badge," remarked the man. His companion laughed and gave him a shove. No one moved forward, but a woman nearby, her scarf flapping, snapped, "Have some respect. Bet it's fake." Lucas's jaw tensed as he took in everything. Tommy's bravery was ridiculed by the apathy while the Bronze Star lay there. There was tight protocol. Tomb guards were not allowed to break formation. They don't flinch or speak. The unknown, the right, is their responsibility. When Lucas defied instructions to retrieve a wounded private from a flaming Humvee, his thoughts suddenly turned to a rock. His commanding officer admonished him, then quietly, "Don't let them fade, Hayes. Not one." Cole's words reverberated, and Danny knelt down, his knees groaning, his fingertips dancing over the metal. The teen's voice cut across the square as he laughed louder. The leather creaked as Lucas's gloved hand twitched. His step count was 19, 20, 21. Hold on. Turn. Like air before a storm, the crowd held its breath, feeling a change. Lucas fixed his gaze on the Bronze Star, a beacon in the gray, its shape resembling a star. He noticed Danny's shaky hand, his hunched shoulders, and his embarrassed expression. Tommy Guan, a 19-year-old who sacrificed everything and was relegated to a metal kick toward nothingness, came to mind. According to protocol, "Stay, move," said duty. Then Lucas got off the mat. Deliberate, quiet, 1 step, then 2. Shock rippled across the throng as they gasped. Lucas crossed the rope, feet booming and quiet, and a youngster murmured, "Mom, he's moving." With exact movements, he dropped to his knees and raised the bronze star. Bronze gleamed in the sunshine as he cleaned it with his glove. He stood up and turned to face Danny, whose eyes opened in surprise and appreciation. Danny accepted the bronze star with trembling hands as Lucas held out the medal in a steady, low voice that defied all the rules. "This belongs with you, Sergeant. It's his courage, not just metal," he muttered. "That's Tommy's," in a voice scratchy from years of solitude. "I thought I'd lost him again." Tears streamed down his grizzled cheeks. "He earned it saving lives at Kazan." Lucas looked up into his warm, steady eyes and said, "Thank you, son." He gave a steady, clear salute that carried unspoken tales. "He's not lost, sir. None of them are." As if nothing had changed, he turned and went back to his place. The audience froze, then gave a quiet, respectful clap. It was recorded by a 20-year-old college student named Mia Chen, using her phone. A tomb guard defied procedure to honor a Vietnam veteran, and her fingers trembled as she wrote on Instagram, "This is what America means. Honor of the tomb guard." Lucas's superior officer, Captain Robert Vance, stood in the shadows of the memorial amphitheater across the plaza. His expression was severe, and he was scratching his pen. A breach of procedure. Discipline should be recommended around 10:47 a.m. As a veteran of Desert Storm, Vance believed the tomb was sacrosanct and that its rites were impenetrable. Lucas broke precedent with his act. Mia's video garnered 300,000 views before midday. It was available on YouTube, X, CNN, and TikTok by dusk. He embarrassed the post and comments poured in. "This is why we honor our troops. He broke the rules for a vet. That's a hero." Others disagreed, saying, "Tomb guards must be perfect." Veterans organizations came together and shared pictures of their medals, including bronze stars with tomb guard honor, purple hearts, and silver stars. That night, Lucas sat by himself in the barracks. His uniform hung neatly, his black coffee steamed untouched. A 73-year-old Marine who served with Danny in Vietnam, now limping, wrote on X, "That kid gave Danny his pride back." See, a VFW post in Ohio shared the video. "This is what service looks like." The room was Spartan. A locker, bunk beds, a picture of his team in Iraq, and Cole's smile in the middle. Another tomb guard, Private Jenny Torres, slid in, boots silent. When she leaned against the wall, she said, "You knew you'd catch trouble, didn't you?" Lucas looked at the picture and nodded. That medal was his friend's life. Couldn't let it lie there. Laughed at Vance's livid, she muttered, crossing her arms. "Saw his face, Jenna." As Lucas said, "Secured the tomb. Might bench you for good." His lips quirked to the point of a smile. After studying him, Jenna sat opposite from him and said, "Worth it. He carried that bronze star for 50 years. We almost let it slip away." "You think about Iraq, about Cole. Every step," Lucas answered, his voice hardly audible above a whisper. The heat, the blast, Cole pushing him down with his hands, the silence that followed. As a reminder to never forget, he carried Cole's dog tag. Danny, the vet, appeared to be carrying the same item. Jenna nodded, her eyes gentle. "I couldn't let him lose it. They won't get it at the top, but I do." Danny was sitting on a groaning bed with bronze star in his hands in a motel room close to Arlington. The motel was all he could afford. The wallpaper was crumbling. A faded picture of him and Tommy in Vietnam, 2 children smiling in spite of fear and muck, was next to him. Too terrified of the agony, he hadn't looked at it in decades. Now he traced Tommy's face. "You made it to the tomb, Tommy," he said. With the news screaming, he turned on the TV and said, "Someone saw you. Someone cared." Blurry yet clear, Lucas's salute filled the screen. Danny's chest constricted as the anchor continued. A tomb guard's unprecedented act of compassion has sparked debate, tradition, or humanity. We'll explore after the break. News of his private pilgrimage spread across the country. He reflected on the years following Vietnam, the Bronze Star, nights he drank to forget, and demonstrators at the airport. Tommy's anchor was his legacy, evidence that their battle had significance. He was reminded by a young soldier today that it still did. Lucas had to appear before a disciplinary board at Fort Myer the following morning. With a stony face, Captain Vance presided. He was flanked by 3 officers, their uniforms brimming with decorations. Sergeant Hayes, Vance said sharply. "You broke formation, spoke, and engaged a civilian yesterday at 10:47, violating the sanctity of the tomb. Please explain yourself." Lucas remained at attention, his stance perfect. "I honored a soldier's sacrifice, sir. That bronze star belonged to Private Tommy Nguyen, earned in blood at Quezon. It fell. No one else moved. I couldn't let it be mocked. The tomb isn't just for the unknown. It's for every soldier who served, living or dead." Vance's eyes widened. He was tapping his pen. "Your duty is the ritual, not playing hero. The tomb demands perfection, not sentiment." "With respect, sir," Lucas answered with a stern tone. "My duty is to the men we buried, and the ones still standing, carrying their weight. That veteran deserved better than laughter." The silence was deep. Lucas's eyes remained fixed as a retired colonel, laden with medals, cleared his throat and said, "Recommendation, 1-week suspension, public statement of regret." The air was electrified, and the room felt smaller. "I won't regret honoring a veteran, sir. Not now, not ever." Vance's jaw clenched as he leaned back. Tradition was his gospel, yet he knew sacrifice. Lucas's refusal to comply was difficult. After being persuaded by a reporter, Danny went to an Arlington VFW post. The room was full with young people from Iraq and Afghanistan, as well as gray-haired veterans, all of whom were sharing stories and drinking beer. Bronze Star was pinned to Danny's jacket, its weight grounding him as he stood. He stated, "This ain't just metal," in a firm voice. "It's Tommy Nguyen. He was 19, saved 2 men, took a bullet for it. Every kid we lost is in this medal. That guard, Lucas, didn't just pick it up. He picked me up. Don't punish him. Give him a medal." The crowd exploded in applause. A young veteran submitted a recording to X. It was broadcast on Fox News, MSNBC, and all other outlets by dusk. With 2 million views to date, Mia's video sparked a frenzy. A trending topic with 1.5 million posts was Tomb Guard honor. 400,000 people signed a petition calling for Lucas to be commended rather than suspended. A Vietnam-era helicopter pilot shared his Bronze Star photo, captioning it, "Hayes reminded us why we fought." A Texas history teacher had her students write essays about the video. A 12-year-old girl from Ohio, whose father served in Iraq, posted a watercolor of Lucas saluting Danny with the caption, "This is what heroes do." During a Veterans Day speech in Congress, a senator from Virginia recalled Lucas's name, saying, "If we punish compassion, we dishonor the soldiers we serve." Sergeant Hayes demonstrated that duty isn't just standing still. One student wrote, "He broke the rules, but he fixed something bigger. It is taking a step ahead." The chamber cheered, and newsrooms heard the sound. Alone in his office, Captain Vance sensed the pressure building. He watched Mia's video again, stopping to observe Danny's expression of pride, relief, and tears. As someone who has experienced loss before, Vance buried friends in Desert Storm and carried their names. He opened Lucas's dossier and saw that Purple Heart, an Iraqi volunteer with an impeccable record, had offered to be the tomb guard. Danny returned to Arlington 10 days later, after rubbing his head and typing, "Recommend commendation for exceptional judgment under unique circumstances." The crowd dispersed, with some nodding and others saluting. He was presented a little flag by a youngster. Lucas was at his post, his eyes full of fresh brightness and his steps exact. A ceremony took place in the plaza of the tomb at 11 a.m. Danny and Lucas were invited to the center by a brigadier general, with a mosaic of ribbons on his chest. With special permission, Lucas pinned a silver star, a civilian award for bravery, to Danny's jacket. Danny's palm gripped the Bronze Star, while his eyes gleamed. "For Tommy," he added in a broken voice. Lucas dropped to his knees and laid a white rose at the bottom of the tomb. "For all of them," he answered in a soft, deep voice. With their hands over their hearts and some crying, the crowd stood. Front rower Mia Chen wiped away a tear. Heart full, phone off. Danny hung Tommy's Bronze Star next to his Purple Heart in his motel, the medals gleaming in the light, while a Vietnam veteran in the back gave a shuddering salute and mouthed the words, "Thank you." He produced the picture of him and Tommy, their smiles unwavering. "You gave an old man his friend back. You gave America its soul. Don't stop." He fell asleep after writing to Lucas, but never mailing it. "Turn on the television." As Lucas unlocked a drawer in his residence, a television reporter quoted a post that went viral. The tomb guard didn't break tradition. He built it. Cole's dog tag, a folded flag, an army letter, and a commendation for valor were all within. His fingers lingered as he put it down. "Another weight," he muttered to himself. Faintly, He gazed out at the skyline of Washington, D.C., and said, "But I'll carry it." Cole was watching somewhere. A California Vietnam veteran came to Arlington 4 months later. "He moved for one of us. That's enough." He shared a picture of Lucas beside the tomb, his silhouette sharp against the marble. Caption: "The tomb holds not only the unknown, but all of us." With a smile on his face and a bronze star in hand, Danny died quietly that spring. As taps sounded, his notes shattering the silence, Lucas stood in dress blues at his burial in a church in Virginia, saluting. His silent presence was a promise: never forget Tommy Danny Cole. Weeks later, a kid in Arlington grabbed his mother's sleeve while he watched Lucas march. Lucas listened, face unaltered, steps unbroken, as she knelt and spoke softly. "Why is he so still?" "Because he only moves when it matters, sweetheart. And when he does, the whole world notices." He sensed it deep within, the weight of bravery, as light as a rose and as heavy as the memory of a country. Carrying the past and protecting the future, he marched in 21 steps. This is about a soldier and a medal, about a peaceful November morning at Arlington, and about a rule that was broken in order to fulfill a pledge made 50 years earlier. It serves as a reminder that occasionally there needs to be space for a break, for remembrance, or for mercy amid the solemn precision of duty. One man deviated from the norm at the nameless soldier's tomb, where movement is coordinated and quiet is revered, not to disrespect the ceremony, but to commemorate a life. Therefore, remember Tommy, Danny, and those whose bravery never garnered media attention but whose legacy endures for centuries. Tell their narrative to arouse conscience rather than controversy. Additionally, observe the guard in action if you ever visit Arlington. Pay great attention and count the steps. You might hear the echo of a promise kept somewhere in between his boot clicks.